Descendants of the Seas series, Book 1, Rosé's Skyless Kingdom by Lost Word, Prologue. In the Open Seas, Part 2. Argero, after a long stupor, barely managed to open his eyes with a terrible headache, and noticed that the storm had subsided. Clutching his throbbing head, he pushed himself upright and looked around, trying to piece together what had happened. But the moment the memories returned, he wished they hadn't. In despair, he let himself fall back onto the sand. He stared up at the stars. The sky was as dark, still, and clear as the surface of water at the bottom of a well. Not a trace of the storm clouds remained. The stars shimmered like diamond dust scattered across a black veil. Argero closed his eyes and listened to the silence. After the chaos of only a few hours before, the stillness now felt like the silence of death. The silence of death. Had anyone else survived? Or had this black sky become their grave, covering them all? Argero sat up once more and looked around. The dark, tranquil sea gently swept the sand along the shore, and the moonlight bathed the endless beach in a bone-pale glow. At about 20 meters inland, the beach ended where a dense forest of trees began. The trees were so thick that the moonlight could not penetrate their leaves, leaving the darkness beneath the canopy even deeper than the night itself. As Argero slowly pushed himself to his feet, he stared directly into the dense, thick darkness beneath the leaves. On an island that teemed with such savage and colossal creatures in its waters, who could tell what might lurk in the depths of its shadowy forest? Was it wise to venture into such darkness in the dead of night, when he was so defenceless? Even in daylight, the forest was so eerie that he would hesitate before entering. Sometimes certain things simply unsettle you, and often for good reason. Argero Culospero knew that the unease he felt was justified. Yet he was also acutely aware that sooner or later he would have no choice but to step into that darkness. There was no ship or crew to rescue him from this place, not even a boat or an oar. However long his stay on the island would be, possibly until the day he died, the forest would become his only hope for survival, or his doom. Eventually, whether he liked it or not, he would have to face that unwelcome darkness. When he stood up, he brushed the sand off himself roughly. His eyes were still fixed on the deep darkness of the forest, which might well spell his end. Then, as he started to walk along the shore, he found himself comparing the forest to a spider, one that had cleverly spun its web and lay in wait for its prey, a spider biding its time for Argero to finally stumble into its trap. And with no ship left to escape, he knew that moment would not be long delayed. As he walked close to the shore, keeping away from the forest out of fear, the guttural moans and wild, muffled howls rising from the sea reminded him of the dreadful moments he had endured only hours before, making Argero shudder and veer toward the edge of the woods. Yet alongside all these peace-shattering noises, there stirred within him a different kind of unease. And the knowledge that both the sea and the forest were but snares of death gave him no solace, only the heavier weight of dread pressing ever deeper upon his soul. Burdened with tension and a swarm of thoughts, he tried to shut out the strange murmurs drifting from the sea, mingling with the wild cries rising from the forest, sounds utterly unfamiliar to a sailor's ears. Of course, Argero was no stranger to forests, but these sounds were uncanny, unlike anything he had heard before. As he walked along the shore past the edge of the woods, he could have sworn the trees were watching him with hidden eyes. He felt the weight of those stealthy gazes pressing upon him, and with it came the chilling certainty that, before the night was over, something strange would befall him. For what felt like a long while, he kept walking under the oppressive weight of all those unsettling sounds. Just as Argero had grown accustomed to their eerie, ceaseless chorus, new noises shattered the uneasy rhythm, faint breaths tangled with the rustling of bushes just ahead. The instant he registered them, something large burst out of the thicket and hurled itself at him, leaving him no time to reach for his sword. But what creature has emerged from that dark thicket? Will Argero survive this sudden attack without his sword? What savage beasts inhabit this mysterious island, and how will our shipwrecked sailor face the perils that await him in both the haunted forest and the monster-filled seas? What secrets does this skyless kingdom hold, and will Argero live to uncover them?